So we're going to open a new part, come here, and we are going to work on the latch plate project. Now the latch plate project is all about the sketching. I have to wait for this part to come up. And we'll start with simply an extruded boss base. That's all the features we'll need to use. Now not only is this about sketching, but sketching is about relations and dimensions. Now I'll use the top plane in this case. It will reorient it to face me and then suppress it, or at least make it hidden. Now here's the origin, and we need to choose which is the most obvious position for this origin to be in. Looking at the latch plate, there are several dimensions that come off the very right hand side, and it's also quite symmetric. So I'm going to use this as a location in the middle symmetry point of the far right line segment. So I'm going to go to line. Notice how I have a dashed line that shows that it's directly above, and it will default to make a vertically oriented point. For giggles, I'm just going to hit escape and try to move this around. Now I can move it around, but what I can also do is select it, hold the control key, select the origin, and I'm going to move the midpoint of the line segment to the origin, and then it will always be there. Now I can make this longer or shorter, but now it's symmetric across the origin. So I'll continue sketching these edges. Neat little trick that Solidworks comes up with. If I continue clicking around, I make line segments. But if I go back to this point, out comes a tangent arc. So I'm going to use that in this case. Then another line segment comes out, and another one. Now to do the internal curves, I'm going to wait on that. Those are the toughest part of the whole sketch. So I'm going to wait. Go back to line segments and make some more. Notice how these points come up exactly vertically oriented. If I wait for that to show up, come back here and I get my curve. Here, here. I'll just wait on the internal dimensions for a while. Now notice this means that it's a horizontal line, same with this. Notice this is not horizontal down here, it should be. This line segment does need to be horizontal. All I need to do is click on it, and I can click on horizontal and it'll show up that way. Another thing I should have in this sketch is a center line, something that I can use, make everything else symmetric. And that's what I did here. Now I'm going to make all of these symmetric. So I click on two things that I want to have symmetric, and then I click on the center line in between, and I have a choice of many different relations here, but I'm going to use symmetric. Click on the line, hold down the control key, other line, center line, and symmetric. Every time I do this, I click out in space to reset. So click on symmetric, and then I click out in space. We already have these 2 points symmetric. We don't need to do them again. I'll do the curves. They're symmetric. Notice though, everything is still blue because we don't know how long it is or exactly where it is and so on. Now this symmetry between these 2 lines doesn't mean these 2 lines are the same length. It just means that they are the same distance from here. Oh, but look, it does mean that they're the same length. So much of what I wanted to establish my design intent has actually been already put through this series of symmetry. Note also that these lines are done tangent to these lines. The curve has been tangent because of the way I constructed it right off the bat. Now maybe it's time to put in some dimensions. So I'll go to Smart Dimension, and I will do the overall. Uh-oh. Looks like I forgot to change this to inches. Well, no matter. I'll type 6.3 inches, and it will come out to the right length. Just need to change the units. So I'm going to go up to Tools, Options. I could just click right here. This is an Options button too. But we want to go to Document Properties, Units, and then go to inch pounds second. And we're going to make these lengths. All the lengths are 2 decimal places, so that's fine. But that's where you would change the decimal places. So notice how this number comes back as 6.3. Let's put in some other dimensions. This radius here. Notice how these are starting to turn black as they get better defined. This 15. This 135. And notice I do not need to put in the 1.5 because that's half of the 3 and I've already defined everything is symmetric. We're good with some of these dimensions. Need to make a few more sketches. I'm going to put the circles in. I want this to be horizontally aligned, vertically aligned. Also aligned with those points. There we go. Now I'm going to select that one. Oops. Escape so we're not making more circles. Click there. Hold the control key down. Click there. Keep the control key down. Click on each one of these, and we want them to be equal in size. I haven't even defined the size yet. I just want to make sure that they are all the same size. So now I can dimension one circle and make it 0.5, and all the other ones should also change. Yep, they all did. Now I want to make sure that they are horizontally and vertically aligned with each other. I could take this one, I can drag it all over the place. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to click on this center, hold the control key down, click on that center, horizontal. Click out over here, and do the same thing here, and here. I must not have clicked on the actual center. So I'm going to click out over here and restart. Hold the control key down. There we go. Found the centers. They have to be horizontal. And click on that center. Try to. There it is. That center. That center. And make them vertically oriented. And do the same thing here. That one vertically oriented. Okay. Now if I move one, everything else moves with it. Notice the center of this is also the center of this. So it's worked out. Let's make some dimensions here. This to here is to be 3 inches. Everything close together. Notice how some of these have turned black. Also, escape so we can get out of smart dimension. We're going to go with this vertical alignment. So we'll try to set up a separate relation. From that point, and this one, and make them vertical. There we go. So achieve those results the way that we wanted. And we'll do some more dimensioning here. That. We need this to be 3.5 inches. And the distance from here to that point up. Slides again. Dimension from here to here. Now we can have dimensions that are at angles like this, or if you drag them to a certain point, they will turn horizontal, or for that matter, vertical. So you can have them at angles, horizontal, or vertical. In this case, this needs to be 1.6 horizontally, and that looks a lot more like what we're trying to achieve. Now that's all that's left are some of those internal curves. Before we get there, I'm going to click out a smart dimension, make these two lines equivalent. That's better. Now we can start in various locations. I think we'll start with just the straight lines. Now let me show you something else we can do. Escape. Now I could have used the back and forth feature to make the rounds here, I'm going to do one other thing. I'm going to fill it by clicking on that, and then click here, and then all I have to do is make that 2.25, check mark, and it automatically puts in the dimensions and so on. There's that 0.25 radius. And it also makes them equal with one another. Get some more dimensions in here. It's 0.94. And from here to here, let's do 1.6. Now notice that they're still blue. Part of that because we have not identified that they are to be symmetric. So, escape on here. And this, and this, holding the control key down every time, make them symmetric. And that's how everything turns black except the two ends. You still don't have lengths on these. I can still make them equal. So those line segments are of equal length. All that's left are the internal curves. Move this out of the way so we can focus on the curves. And escape. Now we need to draw some curves. An important thing to note is that the center of one of the curves is on the same line as this line. Same thing down here. The small radius has a center that's right in line with this line center. So we're going to follow this line to about here, and this is the type of curve that creates the center first. We'll come up here, and it's a 90-degree curve. We'll do the same thing down here, and we'll follow from here and bring it down 90 degrees. The next cool thing is that the larger curve actually shares a center with the curve from up above, the small curve. So I'll put that as a center. I'll go here until it comes in line, about in line here. I'll do the same thing here. Goes up here, comes down about in line with the other line segment. We need to make sure our relations are in place before we start making dimensions. So these two are supposed to be tangent, but it doesn't actually show tangent, so I'm going to make them tangent. Go out here, select that, hold the control key, select that. Make them tangent, good. Again, select out here, here, hold the control key up there, they become tangent. Click out here. And make these 2 points, hold the control key. You want to make them merge. You want them to be one and the same point. And this clicks in nicely. But notice how there's a little bit of a blur here. It's not exactly a point. We did not make these two merge. We want to do that. So sometimes you might find in your sketch that something doesn't work right. Computer's saying there's an extra loop or a crossing thing. Very often it's something like this where 2 points are really close together. They might look like the same point. They're not. So you need to zoom way in and make them do what you want them to do. So I'm going to click out here, select that point, hold the control key, select that point, and then make them merge. Now we've got one more. Zoom back out. And to make some more relations, that curve and this curve are going to be equal. Select out here, this curve and this curve are going to be equal. And that should be about it. Then we need to just dimension these curves. Make this one 2 inches. Make this one 4 inches. And then just dimension from here to the center. Make that 3.3 inches. And voila, our entire sketch is fully defined in black. In Escape, so we can move some of these dimensions around to be more easily read. But that's the long and short of it. Are there other ways of relating the latch plate? Sure. Could we throw more dimensions in? Sure. But we use the minimum amount of dimensions and the exact number of relations to capture the design intent.